Today is a very auspicious day, Disappearance Day of Srila Bhakti Vichar Yayavar Goswami Maharaj, one of the dearest disciples of Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhānta Saraswatī Goswami Ṭhākur. I will read about him from the book of Srila Bodhayan Maharaj. People are born all over the world, but fortunate souls are always directed by the Supreme Lord to the place for the ultimate eternal benefit. One personality amongst those eternally perfect associates is Srila Bhakti Vichar Yayavar Goswami Maharaj, whose eternal identity is Malati Manjari in the spiritual world. Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj's family members were originally Brahmana servitors of VRATA Devi in Sri Jagannath Puri Dham. After some time, the family moved to Durmut village located in Kanti district of East Medinipur, West Bengal. On 1st May 1908, the day of Akshaya Dvitiya, that is one day before Akshaya Tritiya, when Chandanyatra starts, an effulgent Brahmana boy was born to Padmalochan Sharma and Srimati Rukmini Devi when the baby was still in Srimati Rukmini Devi's womb. She often had dreams about the pastimes of Sri Krishna in Vrindavan. This was an indication that the child would be an exalted devotee, Mahapurush. She was having dreams of Radha Krishna Lila when he was in her womb, because pure devotee always is immersed in Radha Krishna Lila, always serving. So she also got that by his influence. Thus, the parents and family members named the baby Sarveshwar Panda. Sarveshwar is a name of Supreme Lord Krishna, which means Lord of all Lords. Since childhood, Sarveshwar was simple, enthusiastic, and hard-working. He was inclined towards renunciation. At a very young age, following the desire of his father, he memorized all the verses of the Śrīmad Bhagavad Gita. His relatives inspired him to join the Ramakrishna Mission's Belur Math near Calcutta. Sarveshwar went to Belur Math, where he lived for some time. When he realized that the residents there were consuming non-vegetarian food, he immediately left the Belur Math and continued his search for the spiritual path that would give him fulfillment and a genuine seer of the truth. At the age that is Tattvadarshi, one who can see the truth. At the age of 18, Sarveshwar secretly left home for Jagannath Puri Dham in search of a spiritual master. Upon arrival in Puri, he resided at the home of a priest of Lord Jagannath. One day, as he was returning to his residence after a bath in the ocean, Sarveshwar met with a sannyasi begging for alms. He was Bhakti Prasun Bodhayan Goswami Maharaj, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, means Bhakti Siddhānta Saraswatī. Sarveshwar offered his obeisance and whatever he had with him to Śrīmad Bhakti Prasun Bodhayan Goswami Maharaj. What he had with him, he gave him as alms. The sannyasi asked Sarveshwar about his background. Sarveshwar expressed that he was searching for a pure devotee of the Lord under whom he could take shelter. Srila Bodhayan Goswami Maharaj immediately invited Sarveshwar to the Gauriya Mat located at Chatak Parvat, Jagannath Puri, to meet with Srila Prabhupada. In 1926, by the unlimited mercy of Sri Jagannath Dev, Sarveshwar made his way to Sri Purushottam Mat, located at Chatak Parvat, where he had his first darshan of Srila Prabhupada. He was enamored by Srila Prabhupada's tall, effulgent, grave form and personality. Sarveshwar desperately explained to Srila Prabhupada his intense desire to see the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada became extremely joyful, kept Sarveshwar in his close association for some days and personally explained topics on the Supreme Absolute Truth to him. Sarveshwar then realized that this was the spiritual master whom he was earnestly seeking and decided to surrender wholeheartedly to Srila Prabhupada's divine feet. Our Gurudev told, one who is sincere will get bona fide Guru. Sincere for Jiva means has desire for real truth, for Krishna. Then Krishna will make that arrangement. Later he also wrote one song, this Maharaj, how by the grace of Jagannath, because he was praying to him, he got association of bona fide Guru. On the auspicious day of Gaur Purnima, that same year, Srila Prabhupada gave Sarveshwar Harinam and Diksha initiation along with Sri Radha Mantra. You will find Radha Mantra in our Archan Vidhi book that is meant for Radhashtami, for puja of Radharani and for Abhishek. And that. His new name became Sarveshwar Das Brahmachari. After initiation, Srila Prabhupada observed his nature and realized that he would be a good pujari. He therefore engaged him as a pujari for the deities at Sri Chaitanya Mat, Sridham Mayapur. Deities Shri Shri Guru Gaurango Gandharvika Giridhari. Those were the first deities installed by Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada also engaged him in studying Sanskrit grammar through Jiva Goswami's Harinam Amrita Vyakaran in the temple campus Sanskrit school. Sarveshwar Brahmachari focused on his study and puja without wasting any time on excessive sleep or useless gossip. Seeing Sarveshwar Brahmachari's inclinations and nature, Srila Prabhupada engaged him in various services in different temples, such as in Calcutta, Dhaka, Patna, Gaya, Kashi, Prayag, Kurukshetra, etc. Once, the Gauriya Mat was invited to an international religious conference in Calcutta, and Srila Prabhupada chose Sarveshwar Brahmachari to present the philosophy of the Gauriya Mat in that conference. Sarveshwar Brahmachari was not very educated in terms of material academics and therefore felt so fearful to bear such a huge responsibility that he began crying. He felt unqualified to represent the Gauriya Mat in that huge conference. He requested Srila Prabhupada's personal servant, Sripad Krishnananda Prabhu, to request Prabhupada to engage someone who was more educated to attend the conference, such as Srila Bhakti Rakakshidhar Goswami, Srila Bhakti Hridaya Goswami, Shripad Atul Chandra Prabhu, etc. Atul Chandra later became Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. As soon as Shripad Krishnananda Prabhu presented this message to Srila Prabhupada said, "Why is he crying? There can be no change. He should follow whatever I have said." With eyes full of tears, Sarveshwar Brahmachari went to the conference. The next day, Srila Prabhupada was reading the newspaper and the headline read, "Glories of the Gauriya Math." Sarveshwar Brahmachari had so brilliantly presented the teachings of the Gauriya Math. Srila Prabhupada called all of his disciples who were present and said, "Look, he was crying and felt unqualified, but now look at his qualification. Actually, we are all unqualified, but we become qualified when we receive the mercy of the Guru Parampara. We are not representing Mahaprabhu's mission by our academic degrees. It is actually Mahaprabhu's mercy which allows us to represent his mission." Here I remember our Parangurudev also had one inter-religious conference that I think Birla, where all different religious groups were invited, and the topic was how to unite. That lecture is still there. In English he spoke it. So there he told that naturally differences are there and everyone has to be engaged according to their eligibility for advancement, and there should be tolerance, and the religion should, all religious groups, they should, it is their task to explain that all jivas are the children of same God. There should not be any violence in the name of religion, because all are children of same God, and it is good to preach firm faith in God, but bigotry is not good. To forcefully, with violence, try to convert, that is not good religious bigotry. Then he said, we are not thinking whether that is really the teaching of religion. Religion teaches, real religion, he said, real religion teaches love for one another, seeing their interrelationship with same God. That is only some points I now said, but it's very nice lecture in English originally. How tolerance should be there and why, and there are different Rajasic, Tamasic, Sattvic people, they have to be engaged differently. You cannot forcibly put all in one fold. It is impossible because Jivas has relative independence and they have different paraphernalia. So tolerance should be there and appropriate engagement for everyone to advance from where he is. And our Gurudev also was invited to Calcutta, one parliament of religion. All different religions were present there, and Gurudev was invited to present Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, and they told him, you tell to all others that there should not be any fight, violence, fight in the name of religion. No, in the name of Dharma. Then Gurudev went there and first he had to explain that you should not use this word Dharma. Religion and Dharma are not same. But because there is no other word, so Indians, they say religion for dharma, but Gurudev said no, dharma and religion are not same, and he gave definition from Oxford Dictionary. As religion is a system of faith with certain rituals and obedience to God like this, but dharma, according to Vedic, there are different levels of dharma, and that which holds together society, family, a country, nation, world, that which will hold together. Basic dharma means this, and there are basic dharmic activities like to observe, to not speak lie. Then Gurudev asked, if someone does not speak lie, is he doing any harm to anyone, or any violence, any fighting? No. Then another is to control his senses. By this, is he doing any violence to anyone? By being forgiving, by celibacy, by doing good to others, all different 10 basic dharmas. Gurudev said, where you find any prescription for any violence or any harm to anyone, if someone follows these basic 10 dharmas. So you cannot use this word that there should not be any fighting in the name of dharma. You can maybe use the word religion, because in some religion they prescribe, although that is also misinterpretation, prescribe like violence in the name of religion. That is not so. This goes on, and this is also very important point. Then Gurudev said this is only basic dharma. You will find these 10, they are described in Jaiva Dharma also, and in Chaitanya Śikṣāṣṭakam by Bhakti Ṭhākur. Then another point is here. He was thinking, I am qualified. Prabhupada said we are all unqualified. The thing is, when we surrender to Guru, then by his grace we become qualified. Guru Parampara. So our Gurudev also told to some disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, when he was preaching in West, our Gurudev, he saw, and they were asking him how we can preach like our Gurudev. Then Gurudev told, you cannot preach by money, by having much money and these things, or here material academic degrees and all this. Nothing of this. No material qualification is required or can be helpful, or is conditioned that if you don't have that, then you cannot preach. If you don't have, you cannot. No such qualification. Gurudev said what your Gurudev did, Srila Bhakti Swami Maharaj. He fully submitted to his Gurudev. He got spiritual strength from him. With that he was preaching. So if you want to preach actually Mahaprabhu's message, teaching, real devotion, then you have to do as your Gurudev did. By no other means you can preach actual thing. So here Prabhupada also explained, we are not representing Mahaprabhu's mission by our academic degrees. It is actually Mahaprabhu's mercy which allows us to represent his mission, and mercy descends to surrendered soul. Once Sarveshwar Das Brahmachari went to Dhaka, Bangladesh with Srila Prabhupada. A miraculous incident took place. There was a landlord who was by nature completely atheistic. If people did not follow what he liked, he would punish them by physically beating them. When Srila Prabhupada reached that place, the local people informed Srila Prabhupada about him. Srila Prabhupada sent Sarveshwar Brahmachari to the house of the landlord to beg alms, but the wife of the landlord very roughly rejected Sarveshwar Brahmachari. This incident recurred over several days, means again and again happened. Then one day, the wife of the landlord gave Sarveshwar Brahmachari some uncooked rice. He took that rice back to the temple. The next day he cooked it in the temple and brought the prasadam of the cooked rice along with other preparations back to the landlord's house. A while after this incident, the atheistic landlord's family all became disciples of Srila Prabhupada. This incident illustrates the power of Mahaprasad and Sukriti, pious credit obtained from serving Vaishnavas, even if it's unwillingly or unknowingly. Sukriti is two types, knowing and unknowing. So Prabhupada, you see what kind of mercy. He heard about that landlord, immediately he made arrangement for his rescue. It's similar, you remember in Ramanuja, that biography, that lady, wife of that, she offered herself to that rich merchant to get some articles so she can serve Gurudev, because he came to house and there was nothing in the house. Then when feast was over, then Ramanuja, Gurudev, he gave some prasad. He knows everything, Gurudev knows everything. He said, you take some this prasad, Narayan prasad, to the person who sponsored this feast. And also some his own uchishta, means his own remnant. So that merchant was fully lusty, but that wife told him, yes, I will be with you, but first you take this prasad. Then just taking that prasad, his heart totally changed. That is the power of pure devotees. And he also became a disciple of Ramanuja after, and was serving that couple whole life. In 1935, the Gauriya Math in Gaya was facing problems as the local people refused to cooperate with the temple. Srila Prabhupada sent Sarveshwar Prabhu to Gaya, and due to the influence of his purity and character, the entire atmosphere transformed, and all of the local residents became inspired to cooperate with the temple again. While Sarveshwar Das Brahmachari was in Bagbazar Gauriya Math, he once met with his relatives. This was 12 years after he had taken up renounced life, staying at the Gauriya Math. He brought his relatives to meet Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, Srila Prabhupada told Sarveshwar Das Brahmachari to return with his relatives and preach in their home. In 1936, during a spiritual meeting, Navadipdham Pracharini Sabha, conducted at the Jogapith temple, Mayapur, in the presence of Srila Prabhupada, Sarveshwar Prabhu sweetly chanted Kirtan and gave discourses with attractive Vaishnava language. Thereafter, Srila Prabhupada gave him the title Raga Ratna, jewel of spontaneous loving devotion, and gave him the Bhakti Shastri certificate. Thus he was known as Raga Ratna Sarveshwar Brahmachari Bhakti Shastri. Krishna mantra hoite hove sangsar mochon, Krishna naam hoite pabe Krishna rocharan. Through chanting the Krishna mantra, one gets released from all material attachments. By chanting the holy name of Krishna, one attains the divine lotus feet of Krishna. This verse always resounded within Sarveshwar Brahmachari's ears. One must perform the spiritual practice of chanting the mantra, or there will be destruction of the body. A lion cannot think that a deer will automatically enter into its mouth if it is sleeping and not actively hunting. Nahi suktasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. Thus, he would lovingly chant the Mana mantra with great enthusiasm, chanting at least 100,000 names of Krishna, 64 rounds every day. This practice of chanting 64 rounds started when he joined the Gauriya Math as a brahmachari and never stopped, even when he was physically ill. Sarveshwar Brahmachari also sang the kirtans of previous Gauriya Vaishnava Acharyas and worshipped and served the deities of the Lord. He served his god brothers with extreme dedication and sincerity. Srila Prabhupada was extremely pleased with Sarveshwar Brahmachari's mood. Srila Prabhupada loved listening to the kirtans that he would sing so sweetly. In 1936, Srila Prabhupada gave him the spiritual title Sarveshwar Ananda Ragaratna, the jewel of musical melodies who gives bliss to the Lord of one and all. Sarveshwar Brahmachari served as Mat Rakshak, means Mat in charge, at 4 mats in Patna, Prayag, Kashi and Gaya. He preached the spiritual philosophical conclusions of Shri Shri Guru and Gaurango by reading from scriptures, singing kirtans and giving discourses. He studied Harinamrita Vyakaran, Sanskrit grammar of Jiva Goswami, and many spiritual scriptures. While he was the Mat Rakshak at Gaya, many scholars saw Sarveshwar Brahmachari's expertise and became attracted, thereby receiving mercy and gaining the shelter of Srila Prabhupada's divine lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada became extremely pleased with Sarveshwar Brahmachari and on his own decided to grant Sarveshwar Brahmachari sannyas. Srila Prabhupada called him to Purushottam Math, located in Chatakparva, Jagannath Puri, during the Ratha Yatra festival and gave him sannyas initiation at the mere age of 27. He received the name Srila Bhakti Vichar Yayavar Maharaj, and he was the last person to whom Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas. There in Srila Bharati Maharaj's book also you will find that he was afraid to take sannyas because he saw in his horoscope later on the marriage is there, confirmed. And he saw one sannyasi was having problems, so he was afraid. Then they told to Prabhupada, he's very much afraid. Then Prabhupada said, no, why he should be afraid? If he's going to Supreme Lord is Abhay Charanarvinda, his lotus feet are bestowing fearlessness. If you go towards him, where is the question of fear? Then he agreed he will take sannyas, and later, after taking sannyas, then when they again checked in his hand, that line for marriage was gone. Means prarabdha karma can also be changed by pure devotion. Otherwise, it is not possible to change prarabdha karma. It is the result which we have to get because of our previous action. No one can resist, that is given by Krishna. But Krishna can change. Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj was not only an excellent kirtan singer, he possessed all the qualities of a Vaishnava. By the grace of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj was well versed in all facets of Vaishnava philosophy and used to disseminate these teachings in simple and eloquent language using Srimad Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita as a basis. In the Conference of World Religions at Rangoon, he presented the inner meaning of the science of consciousness from the Vedas in an understandable way and attracted the minds of everyone there. The professors of Varanasi University did not accept Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the source of all avatars, that is avatari. Then Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj wrote a book called Avatar Samiksha, explaining the avatars of the Supreme Lord, and sent it to the university through his disciple who was a scholar. In this way, he liberated the university professors from the concept of impersonalism, Nirvisheshavad, and established pure devotion, Shuddha Bhakti. In 1937, after Srila Prabhupada's physical departure, Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj's peaceful, sweet and simple nature kept him away from conflict and inspired him to establish a temple named Shyamananda Gauriya Math, along with like-minded God brothers in Medinipur. There is also the place, at this place our Gurudev first met him, because Parang Gurudev sent him from Calcutta to Medinipur to escape from his family trying to bring him back. So there Gurudev said, I saw Yayavar Goswami Maharaj. He was doing kirtan and dancing very attractively and speaking Harikatha, Srimad Bhagavatam very potently, very attractively, and Gurudev he saw, and he was chanting long time on his chair, Muhammad, because every day he used to chant 64 rounds. It takes time. And he was also expert at cooking, Gurudev said, and singing very sweetly. And also he was the first, we heard from our Gurudev, who heard from his Gurudev, that during the time of Prabhupada, this Kartik VRATA, they had 8 meetings in a day, 8 sittings. But at first, only they would do Śikṣāṣṭaka, that explanation, and singing the songs of only Śikṣāṣṭaka. Then later on, it was introduced in 1936. Prabhupada said to him, Yayavar Goswami Maharaj, in Puri, to sing also the verses of Govinda Lilamrita, those which we are now reciting, about Radha Krishna Lila, and those 8 songs of Bhakti Ṭhākur describing this Ashtakala Lila. He was the first to be engaged in this by Prabhupada. Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj's life, here I forgot one. Thereafter he established several other maths. Previously he had also established a temple in Mayapur named Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Math, as well as a temple in Jagannath Puri. This Chaitanya Bhagavat Math is next door to our math. I used to go every year on this festival, Disappearance festival, to his math. There is his samadhi, and many Vaishnavas from all missions, they came and they sang his glories and Pushpanjali and everything, and feast prasad there. Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj's life was filled with miracles. Once he, along with his disciples, went to the home of one of his sannyasi disciples for preaching. When Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj reached that home with his disciples, a snake had bitten one of their neighbors. Srila Yayavar Goswami Maharaj, along with his disciples, went to that house and read the pastimes of Lord Krishna subduing the Kaliya snake from Srimad Bhagavatam. After hearing Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj's recitation of the Kaliya Daman pastimes, the neighbor that was bitten by the snake was miraculously cured, got up and offered his obeisances to Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj. For a long time, until the age of 78, Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj performed many transcendental pastimes in the material world. On the morning of the anniversary day of Srila Narottam Das Thakur's disappearance, Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj was severely ill. That was on yesterday's day, but he was completely calm, quiet and conscious. All of the disciples surrounding him were chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj was also chanting with his soft voice. That evening, Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj physically departed from this world from Shyamananda Gauriya Math in Medinipur. The date was 15th October 1984 at 5:30 p.m. He departed in the presence of his disciples and his appointed successor, Bhakti Vistar Vishnu Gosai Maharaj. During the disappearance pastime, also here is one photo in the book, you don't see. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhardev Gosai Maharaj is standing, our Parangurdev, and Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj. When I was hearing Harikathas of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, once for one Kartik, I think it was in 82, yes, 82 Kartik, Yayavar Gosai Maharaj was staying there in that mat of Sridhar Maharaj, and he's also coming to those darshans and he's hearing English Harikatha of Sridhar Maharaj. Then Sridhar Maharaj is encouraging those devotees there to ask him also some question. So they ask, and Maharaj is then replying very briefly in Bengali, and then Sridhar Maharaj explains what Maharaj that he translates and also elaborates on what Maharaj wanted to say, and then in between also, and like this they're discussing. Very nice, sometimes in Bangla, sometimes in English. Very nice. So here this photo also is there. During the disappearance pastime, Bhakti Vistar Vishnu Gosai Maharaj saw in his divine vision a beautiful transcendental chariot in which Sri Radha Krishna were seated on a beautiful throne. Two Sakis appeared from that chariot in front of Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj, and they said, "This is our Malati Manjari." And they took him to the spiritual world. After his physical departure, his disciples decided to take Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj's holy transcendental body to Sri Mayapur Dham, and he was placed in Samadhi at his Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Mat. So you see, when someone goes to Vaikuntha, then Vishnu Dutas will come, like for a Jamil, but for Radha Krishna, then two Sakis will come to take. Srila Yayavar Gosai Maharaj's entire spiritual life teaches us to keep sound faith in the words of the spiritual master and the authentic scriptures. You will find some more incidents in Srila Bharati Maharaj's book. One time there was no food in the mat, so brahmacharis, they said, "What we will offer today?" And he said, "You don't worry. You close the door and you all should do Nama Sankirtan there in the temple. Krishna is only maintainer, Krishna is only protector." And he himself also went to chant on Mala in his room while we're chanting. Then suddenly one man came knocking, and they opened, and he said, I brought rice, dal, sabji, everything. One man there gave me, and he said, "This is for this mat," so I brought. So Krishna provides for devotees who have sound faith in the words of the spiritual master and the authentic scriptures. Our Parangurudev also, there was famine in Calcutta, no food. But Parangurudev said, today is Janmashtami, tomorrow Nanda Maharaj will be very happy to see that he has a son, so he will distribute so much food and gold and everything he will distribute. So I am also inviting you tomorrow. There will be big feast here in our mat. I am inviting all. You all should come and take prasad. Then Gurudev told. Then we went to his room after. He said, Gurudev, why you invited all? Here in Bengal, if you invite one person, then he will bring 10 more. They will hear there is festival, they will bring. And there is no rice, nothing is there in the mat. So how we will? Then Parangurudev said, the Supreme Lord, here in Calcutta, yes, it is famine. But I don't see that wedding marriages are being stopped. Also, new child is born, they are celebrating and marriage, all this is going on. And Supreme Lord, he is the owner of all material universes. There will be no celebration for his birthday or what? What is this? What kind of faith is this? Tomorrow there will be feast here. We will celebrate Krishna's birthday. Then really early in the morning, one full truck of rice, dal and everything, one man brought in lorry. It is for the service. We heard you are performing Janmashtami festival. So one man, he read in newspaper there is Janmashtami festival, so he sent. Who sent? Krishna sent. So then they made khichdi and there was a big feast. So if one has sound faith, then he can have result. But we may speak by words, but inside we don't believe. Then how we can get result? Eventually the eternal truth will be revealed in our hearts if one has sound faith in Guru and Shastra. There is no need to depend upon academic degrees. We just need the blessings of the Parampara in order to reach our ultimate destination, Sri Golok Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada said that Bhakti Vichar Yayavar Maharaj is an embodiment of Mahaprabhu's service mission. So there is one recording. Last year we heard, I was translating this, but today no time, just that you hear his voice little.
তিনি অবতীর্ণ হয়ে সত্যযুগের যুগধর্ম যে হরির ধ্যান তা সেইটি শিক্ষা দিয়েছিলেন, আচরণ করে শিক্ষা দিয়েছিলেন। ত্রেতা যুগের যুগধর্ম হচ্ছে যজ্ঞ।
In Satya Yuga, Yuga Dharma was Dhyan meditation. In Treta Yuga, Jagya. In Dvapar, Paricharja, means deity worship. And in Kali Yuga, Harinam. Maharaj is explaining. So today is his disappearance day. I am remembering his deity form there in Mayapur, his Samadhi temple, and bowing down to Srila Maharaj and praying for his cosmos mercy. And we are observing Kartik VRATA. We are hearing Śīkṣāṣṭaka. Yesterday we finished the 3rd verse by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Today, third verse by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. Translation: the Lord's name is to be chanted always, with more humility than a blade of grass, tolerance like that of a tree, respect for everyone, and without desire for respect from anyone. Commentary by Prabhupada. Because the Jiva is by nature a servant of Krishna, continuous Hari Kirtan is the Jiva's natural function, dharma, while residing here in this world and in their own abode, the spiritual world. So wherever Jiva is, that is her dharma, duty or function or nature. There is no personal attainment or service to others comparable to Hari Kirtan. So there is no personal attainment or service to others comparable to Hari Kirtan amidst any other means or end. Through Kirtan, there is both selflessness and the attainment of all good fortune for oneself. So it is the best what we can do for ourselves, and the best for others is Hari Kirtan. And in this proper Kirtan, pure Kirtan, selflessness means there is no any selfish desire there, so it is selfless. But at the same time, you receive the best for yourself, because when engaged in the service of Krishna, that is automatically you are benefited. The proposition of the verse Trinadapi Sunichana is to explain how to chant the divine name without making offense to the name or chanting a semblance of the name, Namabhas. Those whose mentality is not intent upon Krishna and who are maddened by enjoyment of the mundane can never realize their own lowliness. Enjoyers have no realization of their natural lowliness, that is lowliness in relation to Krishna, that is natural lowliness, and no natural tolerance. They are never able to give up mundane ego and mundane prestige. Enjoyers of the mundane are never willing to give prestige to other materialists and their envious. But Vaishnavas who find joy in service to the name are humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, indifferent towards their own prestige, and eager to offer prestige to others. In this world, only they are qualified and able to constantly chant Hari's name. Tomorrow, so our Gurudev also explained this commentary of Prabhupada, that those who are in false ego, they can never, Gurudev said this word is emphasized here, never. Those who have false ego, they can never be humbler than a grass, more tolerant than tree, giving respect to others and not desiring for oneself. It is impossible. So it cannot be artificially imitated. When one will become inclined to serve Krishna from his real ego and will chant, when he will cross over this influence of false ego, then only it is possible to have these four qualities. So tomorrow we'll further hear.